What's going on, guys? It is Monday, April 27th. We're now into week 4. How are you guys? I hope you're well and safe at your homes or wherever you may be. I am doing well and my family is doing well. So let's all hope that continues. All right. Looking ahead now into week 4, we are moving on to a new unit here. So, unfortunately, we are done with coral reefs. I hope you learned a little bit of something about coral reefs and their importance and how human behaviors, if you will, have impacted the environments there. So moving on here, it's kind of a little more local flair. So kelp forests for Unit 10, San Diego, and really all of California are widely known for their kelp forests. They're really easily seen from any if you go on any charter boat or any boat out into the ocean. They're pretty easily seen. You see this kind of dark brown or dark green patch, and it covers a kind of a broad area. So those are the kelp forests. We see a lot of kelp that washes up on the Coronado beaches and other beaches in San Diego, and it's actually really cool. We did this last year, but sometimes you'll get these. They're called holdfasts, which are it's kind of like the roots of the kelp, but it's not a root, but it looks like it. So it helps keep the kelp down on the sea floor, and sometimes those will wash up. It's like this big kind of rocky structure. If you ever run into those, and then you see the kelp growing from it, rip it apart. Okay, take that hold fast and just take your hands and use all your strength and rip it apart. You'll see all these different little critters living inside them. You'll see like little sea stars and bryozoans, and maybe sometimes you'll see a crab, and it's really cool. So next time you see it's called a hold fast. Look it up and you'll see pictures. Yeah, rip it apart, and you'll see some cool little critters. All right. So looking at my notes here, couple things before I tell you about your assignments. So I'm going to start grading things. So the 27th today is the first week that we're going to start officially entering grades for your assignments. So you should see some point values starting to be entered into the grade book for this week's assignments. And then if you do not complete something, or if it's incomplete, you're still going to receive a DLN, which is distance learning not received. So if you see anything that you're confused by, or you want to ask me any questions, or you feel like you submitted something, or just want to get something clarified, obviously reach out. Especially if you had a DLN in the grade book. So feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So as always, we have our weekly check-in. So make sure you are answering these 5 questions. These are actually wrong, so I need to update that. So answer the 4 questions. They're going to be different than the ones you see here. So be sure to do that before you do anything else, as always. And I'll get back to you in a timely manner as best as I can, as long as you submit your questions by the end of the school day on Friday. I should be able to get back to you. And looking ahead now, your 2 assignments for the week, and then we'll talk about next week. You're going to have kind of a little bigger project that goes along with this unit, but we are looking at, this really should be unit 10 here, but ignore the 9. Please review the PowerPoint notes. I'm not requiring you to do anything with the notes, but it is going to be beneficial for you to read through this. Your assignment this week is going to make a lot more sense if you review this. So it talks about the anatomy of a kelp, the different pieces of the kelp. We have pneumatocysts, which are those little gas bladder-like structures that we see on the beach, and some people like to step on them because they pop and they make a cool noise. That helps the kelp float. And we have the fronds and the blades, which are kind of analogous to a leaf. It looks like a leaf, but it talks about how kelp is an algae. So it is, in a sense, it's a type of plant. So make sure you're reading. This is the holdfast, actually, I was just mentioning. It is not a root. It looks like it, but it's not. So if you ever see a structure that looks like, let me zoom in here, but if you see a structure that looks like this that washes up on the beach, this is what I'm talking about. Rip them apart. You'll see all kinds of critters living in there. Okay, so yeah, read through the PowerPoint, please, and review the videos as well. It talks about where kelp forests can be found, and the ecosystems themselves. It talks about organisms. The organisms will be directly part of your assignment for the week. Instability. So what are some of the dangers and the dangers that the ecosystem is facing because of human activity, and here's some more of the threats. Mechanical forces, what are some of the abiotic factors that are affecting the health of the ecosystem? So for example, you can have storms that might rip off the kelp off of its holdfast, and that's why a lot of them wash up onto shore. Overgrazing, sea urchins, very, very infamous for overgrazing on kelp, and they destroy the kelp, which is the foundation of this entire ecosystem. Talks about marine pollution, over harvesting of kelp, human uses. So we'll get into human uses next week. So make sure you read through these, and there's some cool videos here that this will kind of tie into next week's assignments. Okay, so review that, please. But your actual assignment that will be graded will be the kelp forest food web here. So make sure you turn this into the Dropbox when it's ready. So let's go through this, open it up here, kelp forest food web. All right, so do all this on a blank piece of paper, please, because you're going to be drawing out something. So make sure you, do this on a blank sheet of paper. Don't type this up. It's just going to be too much trouble, too time consuming for you. But use all these organisms. There should be 21 of them, I believe, to build a food web. Okay, so well, first of all, on a piece of paper, put all of these organisms in the following categories. Okay, we have producers, which are, kelp would be a producer. It's at the very base of a food chain. It produces its own food. Okay, so anything that's photosynthetic is going to be a producer. Herbivores, okay, herbivores, vegetarians, or animals that only eat the producers, okay, only eat plant material. Carnivores, okay, we all know what carnivores are. Filter feeders, coral was an example of a filter feeder. So they, they take their little tentacles and grab things that are passing through the currents, right? So, or blue whale, right? Blue whale, humpback whale, those are filter feeders. But those obviously not going to be part of the kelp forest. And finally, scavengers. Crabs are scavengers. So they might be like, crabs kind of walk around and look for things that have been left behind. Maybe there's a fish that was partially eaten, and the crab is going to come in, kind of scavenge and pick around whatever is left. Okay, so put all of these organisms into these categories. And then finally I want you to draw a neat and organized food web that connects all of the organisms from I'm going to change this here, from the table above, okay, connects all of these organisms between each other. Okay, so how are they all interconnected? How are they related? And then for 5 organisms of your choice, doesn't matter which ones, describe an adaptation that helps them survive in a kelp forest ecosystem, capture food, or avoid predators. All right, so here's an example here. We'll go through it. So in the food web, you're going to put circles around the organism. So you can see sea otter, sea urchin, and kelp. Those all have circles around them. Okay, connect them with arrows pointed toward the organism doing the eating. Okay, so this sea urchins are going to eat the kelp, right? It's kind of natural to draw then, sea urchin, draw an arrow from the urchin to the kelp, but food webs are kind of reversed. Think of it this way. The kelp is going into the sea urchin's mouth, right? So it's pointing towards the organism that's doing the eating. Sea otters are going, or sea urchins, sea otters are going to be eating sea urchins. So the sea urchin is going into the sea otter's mouth, right? So you can kind of see the arrow here. It's a little small, but that's kind of what we're looking for here. And then, where was I? Put squares around the adaptations. So you can see here, sea urchins have spines to protect them from predators. Okay, so notice there's a box around that. And then connect those with a dotted line. So we know the difference here. So here's an arrow, this is a dotted line. So just to distinguish the two pretty clearly. And that's pretty much it. So again, put them into categories, all these organisms, then include all these organisms in a complex food web and connect all of the relationships between them. Okay, so what you want to do is a couple research resources here. Very first one you're going to use is the kelp forest animals. Is going to be the most helpful. So I'll show you what this website looks like. This is from Monterey Bay, really, really handy and well-known resource. So kelp forest. And what you want to do here is if you go down, so who lives here? Okay. Now, easily enough, if we look at, let's look at the bat star. Okay, bat star right here. So bat star is one of the organisms that you will be including. Go to this document or this website And here's the bat star, right? Well, you know, it's only the second one. Click on it, okay? Opens it up, and easily enough, it tells you what its diet is. So it scavenges, okay? So it's a scavenger. That helps you put it into that category for number one, on a variety of plants, animals, dead or alive. So it eats pretty much anything that has already been kind of picked at, right? So this sea urchin might be sea star might be connected to a lot of different organisms. All right, do one more example here. So if we look at the Garibaldi. Garibaldi is on our list. That is the California state fish. If we click on that, open it up, and do the same thing, look at its diet. Sponges, bryozoa, worms, nudibranches, small shellfish. Bryozoa is on our list. So if we look here, go back to our document, and bryozoan, Garibaldi is going to be connected to that directly, okay? So in the food web. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. And if you're not finding an organism in this website here, then what you can do is do a quick search. So I know, for example, like I believe, which one was it? I'm blanking on it now. One of these is not in it. Oh, abalone, for example. Abalone is not in this list here, right? You can see if I scroll down, right? There's no abalone. So you can just do a quick search. So abalone, do a quick search, pull it up, and animal, abalone, click on that. It's the same thing, okay? And you scroll down, look at diet, and it eats algae. All right, and guess what? Kelp is an algae, so abalone is going to be directly connected to kelp. Okay, and that's pretty much it for the week, is just this food web. So, and please review the PowerPoints, do the weekly check-in. Next week, we'll kind of jump into like a little bit of a longer-term project. So, as always, good luck with your work this week and all your other classes. Reach out through my office hours or through email or through PowerSchool. And if you have any questions, I am here to help. All right. Thanks, guys. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.